Hi, this is Sarah Young with ArticleIncomeBlueprint.com, lesson number 5, part 1. Today I want to introduce two new concepts. One is called buying keywords, and the other one is called Google competition. Let's start with buying keywords. What I want you to understand is the process that somebody goes through when they're buying online. Let's say I want to buy a camera for my child, and I don't really know exactly what camera I want to buy, but I start to go on Google and to look for information that will help me figure out which camera I want. So I might type cameras or cameras for kids into Google. At this point, I'm just searching for information. I am not ready to buy yet. And whatever site I'm going to go to, I'm going to read as much information as I can about this camera. I'm not ready to buy it yet. This is an information keyword. It is not a buying keyword because the person using this keyword is not ready to buy. Now, let's say I looked around and I read about cameras, and I find out that Canon has nice cameras for kids. So I go online and I type Canon cameras for kids, and at this point I'm still gathering information, but you see I'm already closer to the buying action than I was before, and this keyword is closer to a buying keyword than the previous one that was just cameras or cameras for kids, because I already know what kind of camera I want. So let's say I read more about cameras and then I find that the Canon 590 is a good camera for kids, and I go and I type Canon 590. Now at this point I know exactly what I want, and if I find a good sale I might go out and actually buy it. This is a buying keyword. Any keyword that has the model number in it, the exact brand and model, is a buying keyword because the person knows exactly what they want. They might be looking for information, but they might also be ready to buy. It's a buying keyword. Now, let's say I read everything that I wanted to read about the Canon 590. I go to my wallet and I take my credit card out and I'm ready to buy. What do I type into Google? I might type buy Canon 590. That's a huge buying keyword. Anybody who's typing buy Canon 590 is ready to buy. They probably have their credit card in hand and they just want to buy. Another buying keyword that I might use when I have my credit card in hand is Canon camera sale, and that is also a buying keyword. I'm going to give you a list of buying keywords to help you out, but you can come up with your own buying keyword. Another example of a buying keyword that is similar to the model number and brand number is color or size. For example, boots size 12 or something large or small or medium would also be a buying keyword because the person knows exactly what they want. Or color, like black iPod. These are all buying keywords because the person already knows what they want and they're not necessarily looking for information, they're looking to buy the product. Now I want to talk about Google competition. It's really important for us to know what kind of competition is in Google because we are going to have a very hard time if we have to compete with hundreds and thousands of people trying to rank for the same keyword. It's much easier if we find keywords that not very many people are trying to compete for. Now, how do we know how many people are trying to compete for a particular keyword? I'm going to show you. Remember our example of Razor scooters? Okay, so I typed Razor scooters into Google and I get 767,000 results. Now these 767,000 sites, web pages actually, are not competing for the exact phrase Razor scooters necessarily. If you want to know who is actually trying to compete for that keyword, you put it in quotes and then you see who has that exact phrase on their web page. So you see it's 173,000, which is very high, but it's still much less than the 700,000 that we had before. So when we want to know how many people are competing for a certain keyword, we put it in quotes. Razor scooters. We put it in quotes and we see what the competition is like. Now, Pink Razor scooters has a competition of 40 because there are only 40 sites that are actually trying to compete for the term Pink Razor scooters, even though if I type it without quotes, I will get a higher number, 78,000. But they're not all trying to compete with you. And if you go for Pink Razor scooters, if you try to rank for that, you should know you're only really competing with a small number of sites. And that's what we want. We want to compete with the smallest number of sites possible. Let's try Black Razor scooters and see how many pages are trying to compete for that term, Black Razor scooters. And the answer is 9, only 9. So if only 9 people are trying to compete for Black Razor scooters, then we know that it's something that we can accomplish, something that we can do, because we only have to compete with 9 people. Having to compete with 100,000 people, you're going to have to be really good to be able to rank, and that's not a good thing for beginners to do. So we're going to be looking for keywords that have a competition of 5,000 or less. Anything less than 10,000 is doable. Anything less than 5,000 is good for us right now as beginners. And the lower the better. If you find something less than 100, great. That's something that you should go for. Now, if you really want to know how strong your competition is, Google lets you type the words in title and colon in front of your keyword in quotes, and then you will know how many people use Black Razor scooters in the title. And you're going to see later on when we actually write our articles, I'm going to tell you always put the keyword in the title. So let's see how many people put the keyword in the title. Only 4. So that is another way to tell what kind of competition there is. Now, a trick that we're going to be using to really measure the strength of our competition looks like this. Here we're asking Google to tell us how many people have the words Black Razor scooters in the title and how many people have links to their page with the words Black Razor scooters pointing to them. Now, if you don't understand what I'm talking about when I'm talking about links, that's okay, because I'm going to teach you all about links later. But for now, you need to know that a trick to measure the strength of the competition is to use the words in title, colon, and then in quotes your phrase, and then a space, and the word in anchor, and a colon, and in quote your phrase again. And just see it as a trick to measure how strong your competition is. And you want this number to be as close to 0 as possible. 0 is excellent. 1 and 2 are also excellent. Anything as close to 0 as possible. If you get something like 30, you know that's way too much. You just want it to be close to 0. And we're going to be using this trick when we do our keyword research. We're going to be looking for keywords that don't have strong competition. So now that we know how to use the Amazon bestseller list, the Google Insights for Search tool, and the Google Keyword tool, and we also know what buying keywords are, and we also know how to check for the Google competition, you've learned a lot of stuff here, we are ready to choose a product. And now we're ready to choose something that we are likely to rank for. If we were just going to go to Amazon in the beginning of the course and looked for a product and picked one, then it would have pretty much been just luck whether you were successful or not. But now that you have so many tools in your hand and you know already how to check for competition and to go for something that's a buying keyword because people are going to buy, you're so much more equipped to choose a product that will actually sell for you and that you will rank for on Google, and people will read your article and go on and buy. It's much more likely to happen if you use the right tools and if you know the right information. So this is the end of part 1. In part 2, we're actually going to start picking a product. This is Sarah Young from ArticleIncomeBlueprint.com, and I'll see you in part 2.